In this episode, I meet with Casey Bickhardt, CEO of two companies, Gemco Mixers and Advanced Powder Solutions. Casey shares about the values that set her up for success and the values she and her team embrace and use today. If you're a parent raising children, you'll find useful principles in this episode. If you're a leader in an organization of any size, you too will find useful principles in this episode. I'm Jonathan Green, your host. Welcome to the Work and Worldview podcast, where we discuss values, beliefs, and the work people do. On to the episode. All right, Casey Bickhardt.
Hello. Thank you for
Welcome to
having me.
Welcome to the Work and Worldview podcast. It's great to have you. So just a little bit of background on you. You're a CEO of two organizations. Is that correct? So why don't you
Yes.
tell us a little bit
Yes.
about that?
Sure. So the first organization is Gemco, General Machine Company, Gemco for short, and we're based out of New Jersey. And then the second one is Advanced Powder Solutions, and that's also based out of New Jersey. And Gemco got its start, oh my gosh, back in 1916 by my great grandfather. So we've got some history, and we build industrial equipment, specifically blenders and vacuum tumble dryers for all things powders. And then Advanced Powder Solutions, my other company, actually toll manufacturers for people who don't have the equipment or the plant or the personnel. And then we can toll for them and we can process their powders.
Okay, toll. Explain that to some viewers who may not be familiar with that term.
Absolutely. It's like contract manufacturing.
Okay.
So they have material and they'll ship material into us, and we'll provide the services of the mixing and or the drying. And then we will package out the powder again, and then send it back. So some of the things that we do are the zinc oxide and titanium dioxide for sunscreens. We provide treatment for them, such as making them hydrophobic. So when you go and rub that beautiful sunscreen on your arm, you're not going to have blotchy spots of half burnt and half not burnt. So we make the powders hydrophobic. So when you go in the water, they don't run. Other stuff we do is cosmetic powders, fumed powders, a couple of other things, but it's very interesting. A lot of different industries.
Okay, fantastic. Well, thanks. Those huge responsibilities you carry.
Yeah.
So Work and Worldview, here we are. So let's talk about values. What were the values you had growing up? And we'll kind of move through like life stages to where you are now and the values that shape your work and what you do now.
Sure. So my father was Catholic. My mother was Protestant. I got a lot of my work ethic, even though I always say like Protestant work ethic, but both from my father and my mother. My father was running the companies. So I saw day in and day out how hard he worked, how much he worked, how his brain never stopped thinking. And sometimes I feel like mine will never shut off sometimes. And my mother had a beautiful serving mentality. She was involved with everything and anything that you could be involved with to help people. So my father being Catholic, my mother being Protestant, my mother was typically more so in charge of us. So she handled taking us to Sunday school. And because she didn't understand all of the Catholic traditions, we went to a Protestant church. So I was raised in the Protestant church. I was baptized Catholic. So growing up with my mother's influence, her biggest thing was become a good and kind person, right? Serve others, become a good and kind person. She ran the first aid squad in our town. She was a paramedic for a very long time. She was the president of the PTO. Anything and everything they needed around the school, she was there to help, class moms and trips and this, always involved with us, with whatever the kids need. I have a younger sister who's 3 years younger than I am. So she was very much involved with us. And I got a lot of my serving mentality from her.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess doing good around town, being involved in your town. She was always very big on networking. Being that she was so busy, my father was so busy, it was more like, who are the great people that you have around you?
Mm-hmm.
She was always very big in saying, if you can't come to me, or if I'm tied up or you can't find me, this person's here for you, right? This mom is here for you. You can call so-and-so.
Mm-hmm.
So we always had our network of who we could go to around town, and so did she. And my father, like I mentioned a little bit in the beginning, the values that he instilled upon me is that nothing is ever given to you. You and my mom and him were right on the same page. Nothing is ever given to you. You have to work for everything. You have to earn everything. Nothing's for free. And you have to learn it the hard way. One of the things my dad loved was boating. And I remember being a little girl, probably like 11. And I was out on the boat with him. We were up on the fly bridge, and he had, at that time, I think it was like a 53-foot Hatteras motor yacht, and we were going to take it somewhere. We were literally going to go on a family trip. And he had just purchased a Loran, which at that time was like the GPS, and everything else was done by maps. Everything was charted by maps, depth finder, everything was done on a map. And he goes, "Okay, Casey, come on, we're going to chart it." We spent about 3 hours charting this, going through every map. Where do we go from here? Following the channel markers, drawing in course, and like setting out the course. And then he said, "Okay, now that you know how to do that, let me show you the Loran." And it was as simple as a smartphone is today.
Uh-huh.
You plugged it in and ba-boom, and it wasn't as nice as a smartphone now. This
Mhm.
was over 20 years ago, 30 years ago. And so it definitely wasn't as nice. But I'm telling you, it was as if you went from a flip phone to a smartphone.
Mhm.
I was like, "What are we doing? Why did we just spend 3 hours doing that?" He goes, "Because you have to know. You have to know." So he was very big on the basics, and teaching me from the ground up. A lot of the process planning that I got was from him.
Mhm.
He was an industrial engineer at heart. I'm an industrial engineer at heart. I want to know how you break down a process, how you break it down to more efficient steps. Why is it taking so long here? Where's the bottleneck? So definitely got a lot of that detail and, accuracy and dive in from him. My mother also followed the same thing. Nothing's for free. You work for everything that you have. And I remember as a little girl, she would have a chore chart, and that's how we earned our $11 allowance per
Mhm.
week.
Mhm.
And $2 of that immediately had to go into savings. And the $9 we had to pay for our lunches if we didn't make them. We had to pay for any of our clothing or anything else that we wanted, to go out to the movies or be with friends or something. So we had to save our money. She definitely taught us the time value of money because she would find ways to tax us. But the way that she would tax us, she would use instruments of our time management skills. So if we wanted a taxi to go see our friends, she would be the taxi, so we would have to pay $1 if
Ooh,
we didn't plan in advance. If we
okay.
told her 2 days in advance and she had time to plan around her schedule, then there was no problem. But nothing was ever taken for granted.
Okay.
Other things like, "Oh, mom, it's a have to have. Have to haves were $1. Well, I have to have this for school. I told them I would bring in the donuts today. I have to have," anything that was unplanned. So she really taught me the value of time management, which literally spun into my father teaching me how do you plan something and back it up.
Mhm.
So then that way you hit the mark on time and you're efficient in doing so. So that shaped me a lot. My mom always had us in Girl Scouts, the value of giving back. We did our silver award projects, we did our gold award projects, the camaraderie of being with other girls who were interested in serving the community has followed me right through. And I think that was very good. She always had these little reminders and mottos, just like girlfriend, always leave the place cleaner than when you found it,
Mhm.
right? Always help those in need, be helpful and kind to a friend. So I think those things stayed with me.
Those are awesome. Those what great values to grow up with. So, as you got older, did you find any challenges to those?
Yeah, for sure. So going through school, right? School also shapes you. And as I grew into it to a young adult, one of the other things that we were always taught is follow the rules. My mom was a huge rule follower. If this was the rule, then this was the rule.
Mhm.
My father, he tended to make his own rules. But because my mom was rearing us a little bit
Mhm.
more,
Mhm.
it was her rules in the house. So that I didn't think anything of that. If this was the rule, I followed the rule. If this was the policy, I followed the rule. I didn't even question it. I
Uh-huh.
didn't question it. It was like, okay, well, this is the rule. And I'm assuming that made her life as parenting much harder. I don't remember her telling us that we, went off the reservation or caused too much trouble, but at the same time, maybe I wasn't even smart enough to question it or exciting, adventurous enough to question it. I didn't question it. These were the rules. Well, it hurt and it helped. It helped because it always made my life a little bit easier.
Mhm.
I mean, I just followed the rules and
Sure.
okay, there wasn't any trouble, there wasn't any of this, there wasn't any of
Yeah.
that. And then of course, coming out of college, right? Because you're bound by these rules in school. You're bound by these rules like at home, and then you're bound by these rules at college. Well, then you get to a workplace. And one of the things that I didn't understand is the workplace became a place where People had different interpretations of the policies and different interpretations of the rules. And to a very highly conscientious, detail oriented, like these are the rules. Okay, I followed the rules. This is what I'm supposed to do. Okay, I'm going to try to do, the best I can. And there's a deadline. Okay, well, we meet the deadline. Okay, well, there's that. Okay, well, we meet this. When I went into the workforce and I didn't see people possibly working with that motivation,
Mhm.
or that ambition,
Mhm.
or the same urgency, or the same speed, that I had to work on myself tremendously to take myself out of myself
Mhm.
and lean back into everybody is here for a purpose and they serve a purpose and they do a great job. And how can I serve them to meet them where they are and help the group come along? So my early days in going out of such a structured environment into, okay, well, this is this and this is that. It's not always black and white in business, especially when you're dealing with people.
Mhm.
So I had to learn a lot about dealing with uh, different people, right? And realizing my value is not the only value.
Mhm.
There's multiple values out there.
Yeah.
And how can we work within the confines of some relevancy, but understand that it's gonna look different than what my expectation was. So I had to really work on myself for many years to get myself to think differently about
Sure.
different things and what's important, what's not important, and how I can be a little bit more gray.
So, like, on reflection, what new value was it that you needed to integrate in order to work with people better?
I definitely just not thinking I guess it's not a value, but just maybe a humbling value
Mhm.
of my way is not the only way, and that we're
Humility.
all made different. We're all made different, and we can bring different things to the group, whether one's fast or one's slow, whether one's quick at this subject and quick at this other subject.
Mhm.
I started, instead of thinking that everyone had to be the same, well, we all went out, we all came from here, we all came from here, and then we went to here. So what? How else would it have been? Maybe I was a little too sheltered or something. I don't know, but I definitely had to humble myself more. I had to seek to constantly understand other people. And the biggest value, if I had to put my finger on it,
Mhm.
I had to become curious.
Mm.
I had to become curious about other people and what motivated them, because just me wanting an A or wanting to hit a deadline, wanting to hit a mark, wanting to hit a target, that might be my value, but other people might have a different value. It might be the contribution that they're giving. It might be the camaraderie that they get. So I really had to think and be curious about other people, ask more questions, and realign my thinking with theirs. And then that way we could be a team much better.
Fantastic. Yeah. That's a that's a lovely word for around here because like, the people that support the podcast, the people that, like, tune in. I don't know if you saw on the website or not, but we called them the infinitely curious.
Oh,
Did you
that's
see it?
great.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Yes.
curious is a great word for
Yes.
right now.
Yes. It's a really, really strong learning mentality.
Mhm.
And when you have that, you become a lot more aware, a lot more, and it changes it changes you when you become curious and you're open, it changes you just in your demeanor, your output to everything.
All right. So it sounds like we kind of got early childhood up to college, some into work life.
Yeah.
I know your story. So from, you had an experience that brought you into the role you're in now. Why don't you start there and just tell a little bit about the before and during and after of that experience?
Sure. So, fresh out of college and knowing that we had a family business, I always wanted to go into the family business. I saw my dad working and I would come and work in some of the summers. I would learn the different types of things happening around the office. I didn't dive too deep, but I was well aware. Fresh out of college, I graduated with a business administration degree and economics, and the I went to Prudential Financial, and I was basically an accountant there. And then I called myself the double checker, because I was basically double checking all these rates and things and learning their systems and how to work and stuff. And it was really nice. We got a sign-in bonus, which was great. And 9 months in, things changed. Now, I had always thought I had wanted to work outside the family business. This is what they told me: work outside the family business before you go back into it, because work there for like 5 years or outside for 5 years. So then that way you have an outside perspective to bring into the family business, right? You learn how other companies do things and then bring it in, not just come in with your knowledge and then learn the Gemco way.
Mhm. Mhm.
So, about 9 months into my very short lived career at Prudential Financial, which was fabulous, by the way, things suddenly changed here in Advanced Powder Solutions. We had a gentleman who was an operating partner of the business, and he was 45 and he suddenly passed away due to a stroke. And he was phenomenal. He ran the business. He actually grew the business from nothing with my father. They had this idea, they started it, and then he grew the business really, really well. So I had to give up my signing bonus. My father called me and goes, Case, if there's any time that you were going to come into the family business, it's now. And he was in retirement down in Florida, living in Florida. And then he was like, okay, well, I'm coming up. And I was like, okay, I'm coming up. I don't know the first thing about Advanced Powder Solutions. I've only ever worked in Gemco.
Mhm.
The two companies were very much at that time separated. Advanced Powder did this and Gemco did this. Not really the way that it was intended when it first happened, when it was first made. Gemco was started in 1916. Advanced Powder Solutions was started in 1984. It was started to be a test facility for Gemco.
Mhm.
The tolling that we do, the mixing and the drying that we do is all done in Gemco blenders.
Mhm.
So over the years, we have bought and paid for Gemco blenders and
Mhm.
Advanced Powder Solutions
Mhm.
to run a facility. And now we have a gorgeous facility here to do that. Well, when he passed away, there was an operator and then just him, meaning like there was 9 operators. There was one operator underneath him who knew a lot about what was going on, who was very close with this gentleman,
Mhm.
who was able to help us through the transition. But that transition was doubly hard when I was told that we were having an audit being conducted by YF and ISP, and they were all coming in to do an audit on us.
Mhm.
And we were like, what? What's an audit? Well, how do you do that? Or I've never been through this. And
Right.
they were conducting this huge audit where we had paperwork upon paperwork upon paperwork that needed to get done, be done, reviewed, uh, you know, packaged appropriately, and then given back to the auditors. So that was a feat in itself. I needed to surround myself with good people. We brought in a consultant. It was a really deep dive into CGMP,
Mhm.
so learning a whole bunch of stuff, within the first 6 months. I mean, talk about like throwing you into the deep end. This was the deep end. If there ever was, there was no succession planning.
Mhm.
There was no like, oh, by the way, here's procedures for this and here do this and this is how we do it. So it was piecemeal. And that's where the industrial engineer in me came out.
Mhm.
I sat for hours in front of the machine, taking time notes
Mhm.
on what it was. I wrote procedures. Okay, turn this handle, do this, move this to the right, move that to the left.
Wow.
I did. I was thrown into the deep. I didn't even know what it was doing. I had to leave my job that I liked. I had to give back my signing bonus. I had to work for my dad for less money. I had to work longer hours. But it completely shaped me. And one of the things that I gathered that was one of the most contributing factors to my success was that um there was no succession planning. It wasn't like I got, oh, here's a nice, easy transition. It was like the hardest transition. There's no one there not no one to ask for help, but no one could do it the way that he was running. He ran the whole thing. So I had to piecemeal from different people.
Mhm.
We started all the procedures from scratch. We made sure we got through everything. But I think that really helped. It was like I was physically swimming, as they say, right? You
Mhm.
get thrown into the pool, you start to swim.
Right.
I was physically swimming. It wasn't like I started with like a toe in the water or a little kick here and a little kick here. It was like, no, you're gonna do it.
Right.
And I think with my dad's work ethic, with my mom's drive, like the ambition that they always gave me, it was like we didn't even think about failing. We just thought about, okay, well, this needs to get done. Then we come in and do it. At that time, our machines were working on 3 shifts. and I was shift 1 and 2.
Mm.
So, then we had a
Wow.
3rd shift operator come in, but I remember going into change the vacuum pump water at, like, 2 in the morning,
Mm.
because that needed to be changed, and then eventually, what did that teach us? It was so amazing that these machines needed 3 shifts in order to run. Eventually taking a look at it, once you got the process down, it was like, "Ugh, we're not doing this anymore. Let's automate this."
Mhm.
And then
Mhm.
we went to complete automation, lights out technology, and we're done. And now we're on single shift,
Mm.
and I can sleep at night. But, I pick up the iPad and I see what's happening with the machines and how they're running. And so it's really, really incredible stuff that has come from that. And I've always noticed that when you go into like the worst, whatever seems like the worst, it's unbelievable. In 5 years, you won't even believe how unbelievably best it's going to be.
Mm.
And that's the hardest thing because as humans, we never see out of the hole that we're in. And that's where, for me, that's where faith comes in. It's like, nope, this is just a hole. We're gonna get up. It's gonna be fine. But when you're in it, you don't feel that way.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Mhm. Wow, fantastic. So it actually helped build your faith, that period of just crunching through learning all that.
definitely. Completely always had faith. But I think when it got even stronger when I was older, I think the reason it was less strong is because I had my father there.
Mhm.
And I just leaned on my father.
Mhm.
And now my father's out of the business. He's retired again.
Mhm.
Now I'm managing it. It's not like I can just say, "Oh, well, dad's got that," right?
Uh-huh.
Dad's got the extra money to invest when we need it. Dad's got this, right? He's gonna do that. All things that business owners think of.
Mhm.
He was a beautiful safety net.
Mhm.
And I think when I think about faith, I think about faith when you don't have a safety net. You
Mhm.
don't have anything.
Yeah.
You have nothing except the belief of something greater than you, right, is going to provide for you.
Mhm.
And that's what I like knowing. God has a plan for me, and I'm just here to enjoy the ride.
Hmm.
See where he
Awesome.
takes me.
Awesome. But what a story. I think having some documentation background for about 10 years or so, I can appreciate the tediousness, right? So here you
Yes.
jump in as both like leader, but also needing to like go all the way down to the bottom and like document and pull together and create processes. And then the added challenge of those processes needing to follow.
CGMP for current good manufacturing practices.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely. So we could be in compliance with the FDA, in
Hmm.
compliance with ISO. So these CGMP practices were super important to us.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's all. Just ISO and lab manufacturing product. Fantastic. Wow, what a story, Casey. So today, as you manage the helm of two companies, so now it's not just APS, which you just described, but also Gemco. You guys create mixers from raw materials, from stainless steel comes in, motors come
Yeah.
in, pneumatic components come in, controllers come in, and you guys basically create these mixers. I mean, it's amazing. So how did the transition to that go? Like, was that simultaneous? Did you also come in as like the leader of Gemco at the same time?
No, as if it couldn't get any worse. It did. And 2008, 2007, I guess, hit,
Mhm.
right? And then 2008,
Mhm.
when we had the huge housing crisis.
Mhm.
And that knocked the economy back for us and it halted a lot of lending. There were a lot of brakes put on capital equipment projects.
Mhm.
And there was a lot of tightening, and the entire economy felt that recession, and so did we.
Mm.
And we got down from 9 operators down to 1 operator
Oh,
in
wow.
APS. I mean,
Mhm.
we were just if you think of APS, it's a toll manufacturer, but another way to look at it is that we're the extension of manufacturing for other clients. Well, if they're not doing any manufacturing, they don't really need an extension
Mhm.
of manufacturing.
Mhm.
So therefore, our lifeline gets cut off. Since then, all the customers have come back,
Mhm.
but it was a lull period. And that's the beauty of how people can use APS, right? You can expand or contract as quickly as needed,
Sure. Sure.
so that's the life of a contract manufacturer.
Mhm.
But at the same time, we certainly felt it.
Mm.
And when we did, APS was down, 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 down. So I ended up moving over to the Gemco side,
Okay.
the Gemco part of the business. And that's where I got into purchasing.
Mhm.
And when you think of a process of building a unit, we go from sales, we go to engineering to engineer the product that sales sold. We then go to purchasing, we go to manufacturing, we go to labor collection, we go to accounting and then shipping. So in purchasing, I was right in the middle, which was amazing again for my growth. Because I was able to see again processes, which I loved, right?
Okay.
I could see the upstream, I could see the downstream.
Right, right.
So then I started learning all the part numbers and the different parts of the units, right? Because I had disassembled them,
Mhm,
put them together,
mhm.
cleaned them, washed them, um, and put them together over on the APS side.
Right.
Now I'm doing purchasing for the units. Now I'm walking outside into the Gemco shop and I'm doing time studies. How long
Mhm,
does it take us to weld this piece? How long does it take us to polish this piece?
mhm.
We're putting in machining. Are we doing it the proper way where you weld first, machine second? What other factors are involved? How are we moving materials around the shop, right? So I'm looking at all of these different things, hearing about the time, energy, efforts. Then once I understand that part, I then moved into, I'm not an engineer. I would say now I'm a learned engineer where I could talk the language, but don't have any technical background as far as drawing, physical doing the drawings, but technically I can speak and follow. And I started hanging out with the engineers. Well, what are you seeing? Well, why are we building it this way? Well, why are you putting that on? When I started to get curious about, hey, what makes us do this? I would hear things like, well, that's the way we've always done it.
Mm.
Or, right, which to an industrial engineer or an efficiency person is like, like just what? Wait, there's no purpose behind this, or we don't know the purpose. Like, how are we getting end results then? Right. So we could be copying good mistakes or we could be copying bad mistakes. So these are all things that I looked into. And when I went into engineering, I brought a side that was lost for many years. And that side was how and the intent behind APS, it's how our customers are using the machines. So when I would walk over to and talk to the engineers and say, hey, no, 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 let's get rid of this. We don't need this. And they would say, why? I said, because the operators on the other side, they take it off and they tape it up.
Yeah.
Exactly. And the laughter, duh, yeah, of course you don't want it. That's what was missing from Gemco and APS. And that's what I brought during this generation is it back together. And what we've done is now APS is there for the purpose of what Gemco needed it for. It's a single standalone client
Mhm,
that fully is integrated back to Gemco so we can understand how we're helping, how we're not helping, what we can improve upon. And all of our innovation gets tested out over there. So when we build a new valve or we build a new piece or option or anything that we want to sell to a client, we put it and install it in on APS.
that's awesome.
And therefore, we run it for 5, 6 months
Mhm.
and we get feedback from the operator. I like it. I don't like it. Change this, modify that. We don't
Uh-huh.
want this. Didn't help. We love it. So we start getting that feedback, which is exactly what every company needs. It's the
Mhm.
feedback loop back in. So
Sure.
you consistently stay relevant.
That's fantastic.
And that's what we want to be. We want to be relevant in the workplace. And our APS facility helps us do that within industry. It
Mhm,
helps us stay relevant.
mhm,
So as I moved over to Gemco, the second thing I brought, which is when I moved into sales. So sales, I went to Sandler, as I learned the operations, I got that down. We're now able to have work order performance reports for our units going through. I moved up into sales. When I moved into sales, it was sort of like, well, how am I going to do this? So I went to Sandler selling. I've never sold anything before. I don't know how to sell. And as you hear from everybody who before they've done sales, I guarantee you 99% of the people said this. I'm not a salesperson,
mhm,
right? I'm not a salesperson. Like, that's not it. And then we realize throughout life, we're selling ourselves every day,
mhm.
right? Whether it's to another person or in a greeting or saying hello, it's all a presentation. So I went to Sandler Selling and that helped me with the sales process. And I go, okay, I'll do this. So then of course out I go, boom, 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 and I start selling. And once I got the sales down, the customers liked speaking to me because I would immediately bring up, Do you have those operators who ever hit anything with the fork truck and they go, "Oh my God, all the time. They're always hitting something with the fork truck." Do you ever have those operators who ever lose components? They bring it to the washroom, but then it never comes out and you seem to lose it? Oh my God, I always have that. So I was able to draw and connect with the customers on a basis which they found totally surprising,
Mm,
but on on a basis that they would understand. And they were surprised that I knew anything about that. And I said, yeah, we got those operators too. We love them, but they tend to lose stuff. They tend to hit stuff. They tend to, all of a sudden something walks away. Where did it go? I don't know. I've never seen it before. So we have that too. And I was able to speak to them about CGMPs, about cleaning, about the equipment. I was able to walk around their facilities and say, oh, I see you have duct tape here. We have the option for that now.
uh,
Let me sell you that retrofit so we can fix that for you, right? We don't want to see duct tape on our beautiful machines. So, and that's just an indication back of how we could be serving the industry much better.
sure.
And that's what we wanted to do. So, I think that being thrown into the deep end, going back there again, uh, and starting out over in APS even before coming to Gemco has brought a new world, a new flavor into Gemco, especially for me and as part of my success, that I'm able to do multiple jobs with this extra helping, extra bit, extra knowledge, extra help. I have an extra resource in my back pocket now.
Sure.
So I find that to be very helpful.
That's a fascinating journey.
Yes, learning from purchasing up to engineering. Why are we using the parts? I learned the part numbers and then to manufacturing and then up to sales. So
Right,
yes.
right.
So
That's amazing.
lots of different stuff. Right.
Reminds me Alfred Hitchcock. There's this quote from him. He's like, basically, he was very low in the film industry. He did all the different positions.
Yeah.
So people are asking him, "How did you get so good?" He's like, "Well, I did everything first, and then fully
Right.
understood it."
Absolutely. And you sort of get a better flavor of where the ball's going to drop, right? So as you're running things, and now I'm looking more at a 20,000-foot view, right? And
Mhm,
I want to see them like, oh, ball's going to drop over there, or crystal ball, something's going to happen over here. So let's
mhm,
go. And it's all just understanding patterns of behavior.
mhm,
So I understand the patterns of behavior because I was once the behavior. So now I understand where those patterns are going to be. I observe the pattern of behavior. So now I can sense it, right? It's like a spidey sense now,
mhm.
but it's just built in and it's not anything crazy. It's just literally you've seen it before, right? Been there, done that, seen that. So that's interesting.
Yeah, yeah. So how long have you been in the role at Gemco? You said 2008?
So 2008, yes. And then I came over, right?
Fantastic. Wow.
So, yeah. And then in 2012, I think we got slow in APS. I was going through a transition. I needed someone to run more for me. I'm wondering if it was even later than that, maybe in 2017. But I we went through a slow period again in APS, and it wasn't slow like 2008 or anything like that. It was just like, oh, we could do a little better here, and and I was like, I need to do something, right? Like I need to. Uh, get out there for APS. APS had become, right, since that time I was in it to now I was putting my focus in Gemco, and then APS was still there. APS was kind of like the redheaded stepchild. It was kind of like put to the side, put to the side, and not thought of too much. So I go, oh, like I gotta lift this up a little bit here. And I remember walking the streets. I know this sounds funny, but like walking the streets of South Plainfield, where they have a lot of powder industry happening.
Mhm, mhm,
And not knowing, right, there was no lead program for APS like there was for Gemco. So if someone called in and I could talk to them on the phone and we got a lead, I had to create the leads. And APS being a toll manufacturer is not a nationwide company. We've done stuff from all over the nation, but not typically. Typically, it's more East Coast. And the reason being is when you're tolling and you're shipping material in and shipping material out, shipping becomes a factor, it becomes a cost. So that has to be factored in. In addition, sometimes in tolling, they want it in and out super quick. So then, therefore, the turnaround needs to be quick. The time of travel to and from our facility needs to be quick. Back to the client. So I remember going around South Plain, knocking on doors, saying, "Hi, my name is Casey Bickhardt, and I work with powders. Would you like to work with them too? I'm from APS. Like it was so funny the way that I think about it because it was so new, the in-person
Mhm,
sales, right?
mhm,
Regular sale, okay. I was mainly in the operations in Gemco. I would help with sales when they came in from the salesperson. But up until that time, I wasn't doing sales. Sales came later in my career. And I remember it's like, no, I got to get out there and sell for APS. Who am I going to have do it? I had to do it. And when you do that, I met a ton of people. We have one of our biggest clients now is
mhm,
from that time. I walked around, knocked
mhm,
on doors. Hi.
right.
And I didn't really have a script. I didn't really have to, I just had myself and what I knew. And well, what are you doing here? I had the curiosity. So
Mhm,
I knew from Sandler, they always said, be curious. It's the same thing. Sandler was more about learning about other people. It was all about learning about other people,
mm,
not about yourself. Like get
mhm,
out of your own self. This is not your show. So it was that was really phenomenal. That was a huge growth because by no way was I a salesperson. By no way did I want to put myself out there. No way did I even want to walk around or even introduce myself to anybody. Right? I didn't want to do that. I'm shy. So I had to work myself up a lot in order to get myself to that position to go out and like walk around. But I met incredible people, brought them into APS. The process engineer that we had worked his magic. We ran trials, we ran testing, and now one of our largest customers now is from there. So it's fantastic. It's fantastic when you realize what a small world it is and how it all comes full circle. And that part about sales I do really like.
That's beautiful. Wow. So as you look at the present, you look to the future, what values are really shaping the organization now? Just as you go forward, as you interact with your employees and you're like, okay, this is our focus. This is what we're doing. What are some of the values you reinforce day to day to day?
It's funny because we actually a while ago created, oh my God, years ago now, but created core values
Mhm,
for a company. But the more I look at these core values, the more they are probably because of the way my brain works, a little bit more procedural
mhm,
than they are core values.
mhm,
But we use them as that because we say that any decision, if you follow these core values, any decision you make, I will be right there behind you.
okay.
So it's truly a little bit, our values are more like how we make decisions. It's
Mhm,
a guideline to make decisions.
okay.
So in essence, we always start off with stakeholder awareness.
Mhm,
And stakeholder awareness to us means that we understand the expectations of what's being asked of us by others,
mhm,
and we understand how we fit into those expectations. So therefore, the second one is accountable.
mhm,
So we can be accountable to them. So we understand the expectations, they're set, and we can be accountable. We have dependable. Dependable to us, as we defined it, is based on we meet our deadlines.
mhm,
So that's what it means to us to be dependable. And then we have clearness, right? Making sure that we're crystal clear before we leave a meeting. We have the speak up as one. It means what it means to everyone else. I just have an opinion, I speak up. To us, speak up means something a little bit deeper. And it actually means that when we are in a meeting, you speak up what you see or hear, or you speak up your opinion, your voice, your thoughts. But once we leave the meeting, we've spoken up, but the group decides where we go. We leave that meeting. We don't have bifurcation on the outside. Well, I'm not
mhm,
doing that.
mhm,
No, you walk out the door and it's like, yeah, okay, they thought we were doing that. I'm not doing that.
mhm,
So we have that speak up is really speak up and then hold your peace afterwards because, when we walk out the door, it's settled. We don't want any, I'm not doing that, um, kind of behavior afterwards.
so implicitly there's a value of unity in decision making,
Yeah.
right?
And to say, yes.
So it sounds like also the speak up is really has to do with like the mission. Like we're on this mission together. Speak up if you see something, you know,
Absolutely.
challenging.
If you see something not right, you see something challenging, you see something you want to change, you see a new result, you see something changing in the process. Like, hey, we thought we were going along this process, but there's going to be a road bump. I got to bring that up to the group. You
Mhm,
bring everyone back together. You get all the stakeholders that are on, you get all their opinions.
mhm,
This group, like any small company, it's so important. We have assemblers, mechanics that have been with us for over 30 years outside. We have polishers that know everything about any type of metal you could possibly want to know and how to get it to a number seven finish and a mirror polish and anything else. We have amazing engineers who have the capability of saying, hey, the density of that is going to affect this. So we better make sure that we check it. We have a process engineer over in APS and operators who understand the inner workings of the units and what's going to fail, how we can make it not fail, how we can improve a process before it does fail. Um, we have amazing people here who have so much. So I consistently say, did you talk to your stakeholders? Who are the stakeholders on this decision?
Hmm.
Because it's not only just customers, it's not only just shareholders, not only just vendors, but it's all of these individuals here who have some experience to bring to this decision. And one of the reasons why I say you make a decision following all those steps, I'm behind you.
Hmm.
Because if you consult with every stakeholder, I know how amazing they are here, that you're going to get every experience I would have asked for. And then therefore you made the decision. Okay, it's best for both worlds. Go ahead.
Fantastic.
So we did that. So in the absence of me, right, I was never holding anything up.
Hmm.
People could continue to make decisions. They were continuing to say, I check with the stakeholder, I check with this stakeholder, I check with this stakeholder. Those are my stakeholders who could be affected by my decision. And that's really what we're trying to avoid is just any type of decision that's going to make someone else's life miserable down the road. And
Hmm.
I lived through so many of those decisions that
Hmm.
I was like, never again, never again. You do. Someone says, oh, by the way, I'm going to change this on our computer system and it's only going to, instead of two keystrokes, I can now do it in one.
Hmm.
Well, that's great until you find out later down in the computer system, that poor guy who was doing one keystroke now has to do 32.
Right.
If you had known that by asking him, you would wait and say, oh, by the way, your two keystrokes to my 32 might not be a great handoff. But that's what was missing so much out of Gemco and APS, that's why we ended up putting up those core values.
Mm.
So that's changed. And because of that, another thing as to how it's really shaped the organization is that we also hire looking for people who are learners. So we look for people who are learners, who help, who help others, who serve others, but in a learning capacity, right? They want to serve others because they want to share their knowledge
Mhm. Mhm.
and they want to learn and they want to help someone get better. And we have a big promotion of that. And we have a big promotion of, okay, well, if you want to learn something, go ahead, go learn it. Let's go find it. What do you want to do? You want to create a new system or draw a new part or design something new? That's what we want.
That's great, Casey. So today you're in a place of basically you're still running both organizations. Curious, back to 2008 for a second.
Yes.
You said I think 2012 you faced another downtime. How long did it take for the company for APS to come out of the 2008 slump?
I think we were back up and running. I know 2012 was a little bit, but 2010 and 11 were fine.
Okay.
We did hit a low point. Uh, and I want to say think that was it. There was a little dip, right? And we noticed that because we're very low volume.
Mhm.
So we notice if something is slowing up, and typically that has to do with restraint on expansion. Restraint on expansion, because we just went through it in 20, I think it was 2023. We've hit a rough patch again. And it's probably even worse than what it was in 2008. So, and that just has to do with as soon as you see a restriction on expansion,
Mhm. Mhm.
restriction on expansion is going to play a game with everybody. We've had people say like, oh, well, we're intending to buy, but not until
Mhm.
next year. We're just going to put it off. And when
Mhm.
you hear the put it off,
Mm.
it doesn't mean that they're not sold on the product. It doesn't mean
Right.
that they don't have a project that
Mhm.
they're working on. It means that they don't have the funds that they're willing to let go because they don't know where the economy is going.
Mhm. Mhm.
So that's a huge thing. And one of the things that we always say around here being in capital equipment, we're the first one into a recession, we're the last one out.
Mm.
Meaning, right, the first thing, capital equipment is like second homes, right? It's something extra that you're going to get. It's additional capacity, right? Because obviously you might already have something you might be working in. But with that, people are going to tighten up. When they do tighten up, typically the first thing that goes is any new capital purchases. They're
Mhm.
just going to hold off on it.
Sure.
And it's the same thing. If you're going to tighten up, you're not going to buy that second home, So, or that fifth car or something like that. It's gonna be something extraordinary that's gonna be tightened. So we tend to be the first ones in and the last ones out
Yeah.
of
Ouch.
of it. So we just always have to be, very cash conservative and looking at everything very lean and mean.
Mhm. Got it. Got it. Casey, thanks so much for sharing your story, for sharing the
Great.
values of your organization and your personal values and
Great.
all you do. How can people who wanna reach out to you find you?
Oh, well, they can definitely reach me on LinkedIn. You can always send me a message. We're right off the website. If you wanted to send me a message, it's okgemco.com.
Okay.
And then also we have advancedpowdersolutions.com. So
Okay.
they can always reach me there.
Okay. Fantastic. Well, thanks so much for being with us. It's been great.
Great. So fantastic. Thank you for having me. This was fun.
All right.